Hey. Hey.
Maybe you go down.
Okay. Maybe.
I don't know. You're probably just high on my computer.
What's going on?
How are you, bud?
You know how the pre-show goes.
Yeah, it's a little hard.
It's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
It's a little hard.
But we're back, and we're episode 20.
But I think I sent my friend the link, so...
The episodes are just flying by, you know?
Yes.
The years fly by.
Well, we're at 20, Joe.
We are.
We need a producer. You're still...
I'd like a producer. That'd be...
I gave you a 2-minute window, and you can't...
It wasn't me.
How about a template? A template for that?
Nothing matters when your app fucks up. It's kind of more in technology's hands.
Or the computer. I get that. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Let me turn our names off here till...
What should I cheers with? First of all, I have this.
Yeah, I got some for my birthday. And
so that's perking me up. But I also have this, which is just back to basics.
Back to basics.
You know?
Let me check to see if my email's sent. I know we should be talking. But
Well, here we go. I'm posting, and we got a guest. So so far so good. Well, we hope we have a guest.
I sent him the link. I don't know if he's gonna. Oh, look! Thanks, dude. Joe.
Hey, Joe.
We miss you.
I'm sorry I missed your going away, Joe. I was informed that I became default Joe, which by our friend Bill informed me.
But now that you're gone,
that now that normal Joe left, I kind of get to, I don't know, what do you call it? What's like an acting boss, like in the mafia? It's like one boss is in jail. I'm the acting Joe.
You're stepping in.
I'm stepping in, but that's fine. We miss Joe. We miss our other Joe.
Yeah, we miss you, Joe. Billy said he talked to you today. So
yeah, and I'm psyched that people are watching. I'm psyched that Joe's watching.
Thanks, man. Thanks for watching.
I'm gonna listen to our audio. Quick audio check.
Yeah. I mean, if Joe's watching, maybe he could say he can let us know. He's an audio person.
That's a good point.
Right?
So from what I checked, you sound good, but surrogate Joe. Yes,
surrogate
right.
Joe.
But yeah, we've got him here. What do I need to check? He knows. He knows better than I do. Maybe he can.
No, and I read one of the comments the other day from that other episode when we were like worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like maybe a little echoey, but I think we fixed that. So
right. That's what I hope.
Episode 20, Joe. Post-holiday.
Oh, man, 20. Post-holiday, that's right. We did have a 4th of July.
Yeah.
We had a little we had a birthday celebration for America, but also...
For me, yeah.
For you. Happy birthday, Jason.
Thanks, man.
I
drank a lot.
You did? It's par for the course for the birthday.
Well, we barbecued, too. It was nice.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Joe says there's some slapback echo
on Langer, but it sounds good.
It's always, and so he used a phrase that's always our issue is this slapback echo.
Slapback echo.
And I don't know why or how, but
probably because I don't know. I could get a pop filter or something.
It's hard to say. This audio has almost defeated me.
Joe, it was way worse before.
It was way worse. That's true. That's true.
It was way worse.
We should be thankful for what we have.
Yep. Well, I sent a link to this other guest that we thought we were going to have, so
he'll probably pop in, huh?
We'll see. I hung out with him last night, so
for those tuning in, he's an actor, so he's going to give us some
and you know him from the bar.
Scoop.
You know him from the bar, Joe, so
yeah. That's right. It's from The Room, Dead in the Room. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh.
We need, like when people put up sheets, and that's That's always something that's I've always been too lazy to do when I'm recording. It's easy. It's one thing when you have a closet. Like whenever I'm recording me, I'll hang a towel in the closet.
Right.
But when you're talking about a room like this, it's like it's overwhelming, I think.
Yeah, it's probably the room.
Probably.
Well,
another Wednesday night.
It's a Wednesday night, man.
Man, here we are.
Can just get into it.
Might as well.
Until Joe's gonna FaceTime me.
Hell yeah. I wonder if we can rope him in.
Hey, I'll send you the link right now. I'll send you the link.
Yes.
I'll send you the link. You can join the stream. Tend the room. Yeah. You too, man.
It's good hearing from you.
I could have put you on the show. Let me send you the link.
I know. Joe, come on in, please. Please.
Next one.
Okay.
All right, we're going to get to it. There's Joe.
Hey, Joe. And now Ravi's in. We just got to let him in.
Oh, there he is. Ravi's in. Cool, man. Oh, our guest is here, so. Later, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry, we had, Let's, I guess before we start, let's bring in our guest, man.
All right.
Joe?
Here's Ravi.
Ravi!
Hey, can you guys hear me?
What's up?
Hey, you sound good.
You made it.
I know you don't have the professional
No, it's
mic equipment, but are you getting too much road noise?
Sounds good to us.
Sounds good, man.
Okay, I live by the 101, so if you hear any fire trucks going by or anything, that's not me.
No, if Joe's at his place, we hear helicopters.
Yeah.
He's by the
hospital.
He's by the
You
hospital.
might hear a helicopter too.
Yes.
How are you gentlemen doing?
Good, man.
We're good. Thanks for joining us.
There's
Thanks,
always a little hiccup getting it going.
Oh, it's no problem.
Especially in audio. We always end up having an audio hiccup.
So, Joe, I was hanging out with Ravi last night. I was like, you got to do it.
And I'm glad.
Are you drinking at all?
Mezcal.
Yes.
Mezcal, nice.
Pure mezcal from Trader Joe's. I'm at my apartment, right? So,
Yeah.
there's really nothing that can go wrong here except
No.
I can sit out and fall asleep on the show.
As far as things that can go bad, that's not the worst. If that's the worst that could happen, then
Zakaru mezcal, to be exact.
okay.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But you said it's from Trader Joe's.
It is, but they also serve it at Musso and Frank.
Nice.
So I have corroborating evidence.
You got to tell Joe's Musso story.
Oh, no, I'm not going to
You told me last night.
let me just tell you that Musso and Frank bar is still a class act. Still timeless. Still, you can meet wonderful people there that are aspiring to be in Hollywood or establish themselves in Hollywood. And there's always a ton of lawyers running around.
I get that vibe.
I'm glad they're open. I'm glad they're open again. We've talked
Because
about...
as somebody that's aspiring to be in Hollywood and a former practitioner, I can just meet everybody I know.
Yeah.
It's actually funny you say that because I was looking at classic places that have closed during the pandemic.
And we've talked about it, too.
And we talked about it on the show.
On past episodes.
But Musso and Frank came up, not that it closed, but I was reading about it and I was like, I wonder if it's still popping. I wonder if it has maintained its kind of classic vibe, And it sounds like it has.
I mean, when I went there, you couldn't even walk into the restaurant side without a reservation. Pretty much they were letting people on the bar side. The doorman was letting people on the bar side. As of last Friday, no food at the bar, but that could change as early as this week when they get more direction of, health guidance and what policies are.
Right.
But that actually is kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because there's no food at the bar. You just kind of keep...
Right.
Yeah.
Last night, we were hanging out. It felt like normal times, right?
It was a great time last night.
Yeah.
Jason and I always have a good time at
Yes.
the bar we hang out at. But one of our favorites is leaving.
Yep.
But, That's the thing about the restaurant and retail industry, right? Change is inevitable.
Right.
I mean, any industry really, but I think that those two industries tend to have a little bit higher turnover.
For sure. And it's kind of a common tale right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know the establishment you guys are referring to.
Yes.
Sure,
And,
I think we moved there too, yeah.
and I think
you met Joe there. You met Joe there, right?
that's right. We met
sure.
there.
Yeah.
And I think several people have left. So it's like,
That happens. It happens.
The average staffer last night was there for like a week. But
Right.
again, these things tend to happen in packs. And then they
Right.
need to bring in like 20 people. So like what 7 could stay, right?
Right.
So
I think you just get tired of it too.
it's a tough business. It's physically very demanding.
Yeah.
have you been in that business, Robbie?
I haven't been in the business, but I have lived in New Orleans and I'm from the Midwest. So I kind of just know sort of the Irish bar culture.
Mm.
And I've seen people come and go,
Yeah. New Orleans, huge bar culture.
Huge bar culture. And
yeah.
I'm telling you, some people just thrive on it. They do. And I'm in some ways I can relate because I hate being in an office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in that regard, I can see like you kind of have your own business. And some people make a fortune doing it. They're very personable and they basically created a business.
Man, when that former waitress last night told me how much she made
I know. They
when
do
she
great.
was still there, I was like, well, really?
Yeah, no, I feel
Good
like
for
some
you.
people do really well in it.
Yeah.
But I do believe that it could be the best thing to do is use leverage to do the next thing, for a lot of people.
True.
Like it's rough.
On that note, can you give us a quick pitch about your background? A quick summary?
Sure. I'm in my 40s now. I have an education background that's quite boring. I went to Youngstown State University.
Come on.
I'm just kidding.
That's me.
Language.
That's me.
No. I grew up in St. Louis. I went to University of Missouri. I have a degree in business. I also have a law degree from school in St. Louis. I worked for 9 years in corporate America in between doing tech project management. I was like a tech analyst and then kind of moved up in the project management ranks. And quite frankly, I should have just stayed with that because that's where all the money is. I went to law school.
Definitely tech is.
Yeah. That first job I had really was where the marketplace was heading in the late 90s. You know what I mean? When I got that job. It was all heading into this Netflix, Amazon, all these web services. Even if you, like, whether you like Obamacare or not Obamacare, like, it's a very tech advanced thing. You know what I mean? So these tech consulting firms really started thriving in the late 90s. I did that kind of work for about 9 years. I went to law school and spent literally another about 9 years doing various legal jobs, and nothing ever took properly. Although I think I worked twice as hard. I think being a lawyer is a very, very tough job.
It's a very tough job.
And I think I worked as twice as hard probably after law school as I did before law school, but eventually found my way to LA and decided to put myself out there as a performer, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just getting started out. I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA now.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes. I'm auditioning a little bit, doing some background, keeping busy.
No, you were telling me. I was like,
yeah,
the COVID testing stuff,
Well, that's the thing. If you get a day of work right now in a week, that's SAG. It basically takes the entire week.
Yeah.
Because between testing and fittings and everything else, that's like basically a full-time job. Like today I was back in Los Feliz for a test. I was up in North Hollywood for a fitting.
Right.
Then I did a couple of things I run some errands in Burbank. You know what I mean? It's like, next thing you know, it's like 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh,
shit.
I really didn't have that much.
No, and then you probably during COVID, like my other actor friends were all self-taping and Zooming like this, right? Auditions and stuff too.
I talked to a guy at the gym today, and he's going to go for an in-person audition next week, which I'm really excited for him because
I feel like they're slowly coming back.
Exactly. So he's the first one I actually heard that actually got a bite on in-person in the last couple months. And like for personalities like ours, Jason, like I include you in this group. I think it's better to be in person.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
I hate this.
As
like,
much
I hate
pressure,
Zoom, but
as much pressure. No, this is fun. I'm not ripping on the show.
Yeah.
I'm saying if I want to meet a new person, every job.
Oh, yeah. You get more, even getting a gig. Like, you get to know.
Correct.
They can make you make a change right away.
I think of that on-campus job I got when I was 20. If that was a Zoom interview, I would have never gotten the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got the job by reading the brochures, showing up on time, and being in people's face and interviewing okay. That has nothing to do with acting. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was way before we had all this stuff, you know?
No, that's true. And so that's part of, I mean, because my central question, I guess, with the whole show tonight and with you here is like, how are things coming back, and are they? You know what I mean?
In acting or in America? Which one?
Oh, no. I mean, specifically in Hollywood and specifically in acting. Like, is it bouncing back, or is this a tough road to it coming back to normal?
I think it's going to come back beyond normal, and I'll tell you why. The American streaming services have added a disproportional number of subscribers during COVID.
Right.
And a disproportional number of those subscribers, I think, have been international. So because of that, they're just going to keep producing more and more to satisfy that. You know what I mean? Like, if you think of
I mean, we talked about it was a couple weeks ago, like the Warner Media things changing.
Warner Media changed to Discovery. Yeah, and I don't particularly want to get into one particular one because people get a little bit too connected, right, to one brand. Right. Like for you and I, Jason, we grew up in the E.T. Star Wars era, right?
Yes.
So it's easy for us to get caught up in Spielberg and
John Hughes and
Disney Plus and all that, right? Yeah. But somebody that was born in 2002 that's subscribing today might not quite get that, right?
Yeah.
So broadly speaking, all I can say is that I think once again America's shown leadership. That's the positive thing, you know. And most of these streaming services are offered in 150, 160 countries, right? And awesome. And again, the way we gauge now is not going to be like when we were kids with these Nielsen ratings, right? Yeah. Because it's subscriber services, so they're going to judge movies by how many people are actually clicking
or how many hours watched, all that. They'll have
which is really interesting because how do you know how many people are watching it too, right? In a household, like the three of us could be downloading it once, but watching it together, right?
Yeah, right.
So we don't exactly know the numbers. The analytics are very tricky, but like I said, the best thing I can say about COVID is once again, America tends to show leadership. That's the most positive thing I can say.
That's an interesting perspective on Hollywood and how it's going to come back.
Yeah. Have you not heard that perspective?
What's that?
You haven't heard that perspective?
I haven't. And part of the reason is because there's a lot of angles. So acting and content is one, but like, you know, I've talked to other people who live in Hollywood, and then there's this whole question of like, is it going to come back the same way as it once was? You know, like, will Hollywood itself mean the same thing? So,
well, that's true. I mean, but the change was coming anyway, right? As soon as Wi-Fi and high-speed internet went into people's home, the change was coming. When change is accelerated, it's basically, in chemistry terms, just a catalyst, right? So in some ways, you can say COVID was a catalyst to accelerate the change that was already there.
Yeah. And I think with work habits and remote and post-production...
Yeah, Joe works in post. So.
And I work in post, and that's very true. Like, for years, I was like, man, when this becomes more remote, it's going to be awesome. And I didn't want COVID to be the way that happened. But once it did, I was like, well, I guess that's kind of the answer to that whole idea.
Yeah, and, you know, going back to this tech company I worked for, 20 years ago, like, they were very well prepared for COVID because they naturally had their employees set up for work and travel. They grounded everybody. But everybody had a laptop. Everybody had a phone. Everybody knew how to get a hold of everything. You know, they
were working remotely anyways.
They were working remote anyway. They were working globally remotely in some cases. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they were very well prepared for this in a way that I'm sure other companies were too. But I just think that, like, what COVID has taught us is that, again, the average American wants to work pretty hard and keep getting their job done. Particularly if they work for an organization or have a company that they respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a company they respect or don't want to work hard, then they're never going to be satisfied.
That's true.
Right.
And so from an actor's perspective, I try to be pretty positive. Also from an actor's perspective that has some legal and business experience,
awesome.
right?
That's awesome,
which I've mentioned. But I want to get your perspectives on it. I mean, I don't want to monopolize the conversation. The only thing I was gonna mention was concerning COVID and concerning Hollywood being the same. It's my belief that naysayers always talk the most and the longest.
I'm really with you on that.
Right? Like I can be on an airplane a flight from Burbank to Vegas, and in 10 minutes before even takeoff, just said what I just said, and fall asleep on the plane. You got my point, right? But the naysayer in that same flight is going to talk for 40 minutes about all the negativity about Hollywood and COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, that's very true.
Or an hour.
That's funny.
You see my point. So it's my experience in life is that facts are facts. Analyzing facts is not easy. But in some ways, COVID and Hollywood are not new to me on this subject. You know what I mean? I used to practice commercial litigation, family law, and it's all the same. Negative information travels very fast. And a lot of it has something to do with rumor and conjecture, And it's important to stop that information if you think it's wrong.
True. And the whole idea of even criticism, if I don't know, you could even look at Amazon reviews as evidence of this. But if someone says this thing sucks, you're going to look at all those, and when they say this thing's good, you're just going to be like, well, that's what I was hoping to hear or expecting. So it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But
that's exactly right. Exactly, because the person that had the bad customer experience,
it's like a Yelp review,
is going to take time to write about it. The person that's positive is just going to go back to that business and do exactly what they're doing 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, we know these restaurants are a little rough, but that's why we keep going back.
That's why we keep going. We're like, thank God they're open.
Yeah, thank God they're open. Thank God our bartenders treat us like shit. Otherwise, we'd never go back.
That's right.
I talked about this on other shows, but I encountered that for a couple of weeks. I was like, why do these bartenders not seem like they like me? But sometimes that's part of the charm.
It's part of the charm. It's part of
the charm. That's why we love them.
It's like the Rhea Perlman from Cheers. I don't know if you've watched that show, but
yes,
it's part of. It's why we keep going back to her. She's great. She's charming. She charges what she needs to for our drinks, and we move on.
The funny thing, dude, there's a meme going around now about the guys from Cheers, the two guys. They're like, they were 35 when they filmed that show.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, yeah, they're not 35-year-olds. No, did you see that? I saw it on Twitter. Or something.
I saw one meme exactly what you're talking about.
Norm was 35 when he filmed that show.
Yeah.
He does not look 35.
It's hard. John Goodman on Roseanne was also 35.
That's crazy.
35, 37 years old when he was on when that show was in his first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of, but again, we grew up in that era, and that was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
And as I told you, being a Chicago suburb kid and a St. Louis suburb kid,
last night we were talking
that just hit right on to the world I was living in.
Yeah, I mean, you asked as far as my perspective, I'm with you. I basically think I don't think it's doomed at all. I just think it's going to be different, and different could be even better.
I hope there's a surge.
A surge.
I hope there's a surge.
In COVID?
No, there's a surge in work.
And I know,
I'm too busy to do anything.
The only thing I can't get my arms around is where it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because the South has already been emerging.
They've
in some ways with the
5 years,
restrictions New York
Atlanta.
and California have put on, they're even in a better position to emerge more, right? So I think we're all going to become like Eastern airline pilots. But we're just going to go to our project and then come back, and we'll be like, oh, I went to New York for 3 months and now I'm back and I'm ready. And we just have to treat each other that way with that respect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be Atlanta, it could be New Orleans, it could be Nashville, Miami. I mean, you see my point though.
Oh yeah. I mean, I met Joe 10 years ago on a show. He was in the field still. And we traveled for 3 months, saw all of Northern California. It was great,
And I think that'd be cool. That was kind of, as I said, that I used to hope that remote work would become popularized and more normal. It also seems kind of like spreading it out geographically would also be cool, you know? So if this meant that it wasn't so centralized within Hollywood and New York, to me, that's a plus. I mean, I know as 3 LA guys, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but I don't know. I think it could be nice.
Well, one thing about, again, going back to a very positive message on America, I know this is odd, but like really every place is pretty good to live. If somebody wants to remote work in Iowa City, because they have history there, I've never been to Iowa City, but I'm sure it's a very nice place to live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure they have very sophisticated studios, and I'm sure they have this very sophisticated intellectual property and restaurants and a bar scene, and it's all pretty good. Traditionally, you had to sort of consolidate into New York and LA
or LA, right,
for the Hollywood industry, right? Because just like Silicon Valley, that's where all the minds come, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean over time, like this opportunity says, establish yourself, and if you want to go back to another place, and the example I just gave you,
you can.
You may have that opportunity to have a very nice life, own a home with cash, all kinds of things.
Yeah. No, totally. I jive with this positive outlook.
Thank you, positive. Robbie, we usually start the show on a negative note.
That's true. We
usually start it like who died this week.
Look, I'm a former practicing attorney, right? And it's easy for me to go down that path too. But if I've decided to get a SAG-AFTRA card, I've decided to invest in it. And as I was telling you, Jason, thank God last night, like all these COVID are kind of paying for it. Right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because the COVID tests are like a quarter check for just about everybody right now. So we're hoping they never end. So we're like, you want us to take 17 COVID tests?
It's so funny.
But like, I think as a member of SAG-AFTRA, like, what's cool about SAG-AFTRA is truly recognized internationally as an international license to practice acting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's a big deal to become a member. It doesn't sound like a big deal because acting is so hard in itself and it's a crapshoot in itself. But relatively speaking, at least we have a system. You know what I mean? At least we have some sort of hierarchy, some sort of system, some sort of pension, some sort of health, some sort of established terms for every contract that some people get more than others and other people just babble about. But at least the contracts are out there. Anybody can read them. You can go on SAG-AFTRA's website and you don't have to be that savvy to understand the numbers, you know? At least we have a system.
That's true. Yeah. So we've taken sort of a broader look here. Can we zoom in a little bit on you? And like, I want to know, I think you did tell me this when we first met at the bar, but that was like over a year ago.
Sure.
What are your typical roles and what are your aspirational type of roles? I mean, is there any sort of typecasting? Have you seen any of that? I'm also curious.
A little bit. Like the thing I am doing on Friday is SAG-AFTRA background for commercial, though, which is still a pretty good deal. Like I said, it takes up the whole week with the things we just talked about, right? It's typecast a little bit like ancient sort of Middle Eastern, but it's also got a very modern outlook to it. Okay, but I'm also getting things like 1979 Sicilian.
Really?
I'm getting everything. Like when I walk into a room, like people just think I have a familiar face, and I'm going to use that to my advantage.
Yeah.
Do it, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they think they know me from somewhere, and they think we could have known each other from 20 years ago, And I just have a familiar face. I have a little bit of a rougher look. And if anything, honestly, the typecast that I could get that probably would make me the most work would just be more like Mediterranean in general. It could be Italian, Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and then going into India, where my family's from. But like the reason I don't want to get into backgrounds too much, because I feel if I keep talking about it, they'll just typecast me back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather them just see something. I'd rather a director and a producer just see something and I'll act it out. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be like any of those characters from The Sopranos, you know what I mean? Like in New Jersey. I think I could just do anything from that, police officer, lawyer, good guy.
Yeah, I was talking to you last night. I was like, yeah, just a nice suit. Put a nice suit on.
Put a nice suit, exactly. Nice suit, open collar, badge. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It could be good guy, bad guy. You know what I mean? But that's where I see myself going with it. And some people see it, some people don't. I've gotten everything. Like I said, I've gotten every accusation of background. Like a guy thought I was Hungarian the other day. He sort of thought I had like a Transylvania look. Fine.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Dang.
Fine. I'll play Dracula.
Right.
We need a good Dracula again, man.
So I get just about everything, and I just don't have the experience to know where it's going to go yet. You know what I mean? I haven't been typecast yet.
And so when you went into this, did you have something you were like, I'm sort of going for this thing? Like what you're saying sounds like very practical. Like, hey, I'll lean into whatever I need to. But did you go into this with something like a type of project you'd like to be on?
You don't know, because I think I could do both. I think I could do drama and comedy. Like the first commercial I played a medical doctor, but it was comedic. You know what I mean? So they weren't necessarily typecasting me for the role. Right. I think they typecasted me because I had the comedic timing they were looking for. It was mainly reactions to the young couple that I was talking to in the scene, the married couple that's kind of going through a change in life at the hospital. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So like I really do believe I can go pretty broad. You know what I mean? And I would like to see where Hollywood takes that. And I just hope I don't get pigeonholed in any particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I get pigeonholed in the way, I don't know, like it's hard, when you say you compare yourself to the big names, it sounds braggadocious, right? But then people only know the big names.
Yeah.
Right? So like, just to give you an example, even Pacino played Italian and Cubano, right? So why not me, right?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then again, I threw out a big name out there, right? I just threw it out there on purpose because, like I said, everybody knows the big names. When you start getting fragmented,
I think you got to do 3 things before people really know who you are.
I think that's right, Jay. And Jason, I gotta say,
like 3 successful. Oh my God, he's in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Jason has been very encouraging of this, and I appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah, man, you're a good dude.
Thank you.
I actually met him at Joe's pool.
Oh, really?
And then not this Joe, the other Joe.
The other
Joe.
Joe.
Just talking to.
Right.
Before you got on, my friend Joe was in the chat.
Yeah, I guess that was during the Dodgers game. We ran into each other.
Yeah, we were just watching a Dodger game.
Cool.
But then I saw you at the bar, and I was like, "Were you just at the?" LA is a small town.
I got invited to a rooftop party, and I guess you got invited to something similar.
Same thing.
Exactly, and then we all sort of ran into each other, and then we ran into each other the next place, and you're like, "You're the guy from the last place, right?"
It's a small town. I guess, same.
And then Jason also saw me pop up on Silicon Valley for a background.
He was on Silicon Valley one day.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah.
I got to look it up.
Background.
Do you know what season that was?
It was the last season.
Okay.
It was I have to look up.
I remember knowing you, though, already, and then I'm watching it, and I'm like, that was Ravi.
Like, that's really one of those experiences that, like, when it happens, it's sort of mind-blowing.
Oh, let me tell you about another experience I had real quick to narrow this down. I'm sorry. This is a good question. It just reminded me of something. There was like those late night crime reenactment shows.
Yeah.
Like I just played a generic detective.
Like the recreations?
Yeah, like the recreations. But they kept casting just like the generic small town detective.
Nice.
You say to yourself, that's pretty cool, right?
It's very cool.
Somebody saw that.
Very cool.
This kind of guy just looks like the bald detective.
That's
and
cool.
And to your point, I wore suits at work all the time, right? At the time. And this was like after work stuff. Like we started filming at 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
See.
And then it got dark, and then we filmed a little more for the investigation, right?
Sure.
Because that's when you discover all the fucking shit. And but it just worked perfectly for me and my schedule. And I already had the wardrobe, right? So like they just filmed me for generic detective. Now somehow This stuff was created for like late night network TV. No words for me, all dubbed over by actual law enforcement.
Yeah,
you know?
or VO. Like VO
talking about what's going on. But Netflix picked it up.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, people at our bar start going, "Oh, we just saw you on Sunday."
Nice.
And you got a lot of footage on a 50-inch TV now, right?
Awesome.
But they took it down. But that's okay. That's what they do. They license it.
Oh, right.
And then they take it down after, and they tell you within 30 days we're taking it down.
Then it goes somewhere else.
It was still kind of cool because,
very cool.
To your point, like they didn't pigeonhole me for anything in particular. They're like, we need a generic detective, and this guy's available, and he seems to dress all right. And I used all my own clothes, you know.
Yeah.
Then it paid like negative $5,000 a day or something. Anyway, these non-union gigs don't pay a lot, but it really gives you a bit of a lesson on how to behave, you know?
Yeah, and you learn like set etiquette and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, you're really doing stuff. I mean, the director's directing you. So to me, that's stuff, you know?
Yeah.
They're not just wanting you to prance around in the background. They're wanting you to, it's just that when I'm saying things, it looks like I'm saying them to me, and I'm hoping I get some lines in there, but they dub over all of it.
Right.
Yeah, and that experience, like, I guess maybe I need a primer on what the idea of background is. Is that like background part, and then it could be that you have lines or not? Or?
Well, you could be featured, right?
Well, to me, like, there's certain technical definitions of background, and to me, like, it's all generally no lines. In commercial, things are a little bit different because it's how you're reacting to the scene, right? Even the mains in commercials might not have lines, right? Mm-hmm. Like even Matthew McConaughey might go through an entire Lincoln commercial and not have a line, right? He's like talking to himself, but like or something like that.
Right? Oh God, we could have brought that up, Joe. Too. Did you see his 4th of July? Fucking.
Oh, a new one? No, I didn't actually.
No, okay.
But commercials are completely different. Background, like to me, like a principal is auditioned. Like to me, the differentiator is very simple. A principal kind of is auditioned and booked, right?
Yeah, they've gone through the process. Is
sort of picture picked by some director or assistant director, right? Like to me, that's the technical difference, right? Mm-hmm. Like they want the background, they want the principal performers to go through a more rigorous process, right? So they're all sitting in the room, and well, not right now, right? But traditionally, they're sitting in like a DMV like office, waiting to be called up, and they're all nervous. That's exactly how it works, right?
Yeah.
So, and going through that first, second, and even sometimes third round audition, to me, is a principal actor, regardless if they're a main or not.
Oh, because you've gone through the whole.
You've gone through the process. You gotten picked, and now you get a screen credit. To me, background, you're not necessarily getting a screen credit, but when you're on set, I think there are some advantages. I think you get to learn a lot.
Yeah.
Particularly for someone like me that never really took formal theater classes.
Right.
You know, I never took any collegiate level theater classes until I took some recently. Like I didn't have that high school drama, college theater, you know. So I enjoy watching and just being in the mix.
Yeah.
And then upgrades happen from time to time. I've never seen one, but an upgrade is one.
I've heard good stories. Like
they happen from time to time.
Yeah, and I think that featured, like extra or featured, whatever, that becomes an on-set moment.
Yeah.
You know, where this guy's awesome. Put him right here.
Well, and again, with the crime dramas, you have so many options too. Like sometimes they just want to shoot people's photos, you know, because you're like that person that they're trying to find. I think, Jason, you mentioned to me that, you know, you have some friends in sort of that NCIS production world.
Yep.
And like a lot of what NCIS does is set up the entire show with like some photo people.
Right.
And you may never see them in the episode, but they're the person that either like got murdered or they were the last victim.
Totally. Oh man, I had an ex that was on Dexter.
Yeah.
And she posed topless in a nude photo, and they paid her like $200.
That's it.
But it was like, you know, there was the Trinity Killer or whatever. She was like, they're in the thing, and like, it was a topless naked body, and it was my ex. I was like, fuck. I mean, I was dating her at the time. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Right.
I think the percentages of getting booked are just low, and they always have been low. You know what I mean? For a principal role. That's why acting is so frustrating. But background lets you do something that's a little different. Like, what's your goal? You know what I mean? Like, I know people that do background and they don't want lines.
They want to be there.
They just want to be part of the process. They've retired from some job at a relatively young age, let's say in their 40s. And they said, I have this skill. I know how to look like a butcher. I know how to look like a bartender. I know how to look like I was in the military. I might as well take advantage of it,
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them don't really want lines. Some people are trying to move up. I think background would be a lot more fun if you're under 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're under 25, it's just a lot more fun. If you're on 90210, like, remember those shows? Like Lois and Clark, 90210. Melrose Place. If you're under 25, it's just going to be more fun. You're just going to be more.
I think they're bringing back the Hills, but that was
same type of thing.
Type of thing.
It's just going to be more fun if you're 16 to 25.
Right, for sure.
Just like we were talking, it's funny. We were talking about the bartending thing too, right? It kind of works the same, right? It's all fun when you're 18 to 25.
Yeah.
It's like after you turn 25, you really want to be in that business, and you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
But now you have a day job, so like, were you necessarily worried about your entertainment work during this whole COVID quarantine, the past year, basically? Or
I have been worried. I have not had a day job for a while.
Okay.
So I chose to make the transition.
Because you made it before.
I chose to become my own venture capitalist to do this thing. You know what I mean?
Got it.
I love it.
It hasn't been that great. The timing, what happens, right? It's the timing, like, it's bad for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, I've heard a lot of stories. Yeah.
But like I said, my friends in the tech world, like, their net worth's like doubled.
Fuck.
Right? I mean, look at where these tech stocks all went.
Mm-hmm.
And their jobs were naturally, like, calibrated to be work at home or come in the office once a week, right? And it just kind of worked.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. Look, I agree mathematically, the more technical your skill, generally, on average, the more money you're going to make. But that doesn't help the average person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That does not necessarily help the average person.
I wish we were both tech savvy. We're not really that tech savvy.
I'm not that tech savvy either.
We talk about, like, crazy things like Boston Dynamics and, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You guys are pretty tech savvy, though, right?
I'm going to say that
we have, like, bar knowledge level.
On my part, I'll say that we started this leaning into the, like, we understand pop culture and entertainment and not tech. And I've been making a concerted effort to try to get it now that more stuff is coming up. But it's specialized, and you're right. I think by and large, like, that will help you having a more tech specialized background, but it's tough, obviously.
Definitely. No, but I think if you have a more technical background forget about Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the major tech brands in this world.
Oh, man.
The vast majority of them were sort of founded in a U.S. West Coast fashion, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few that are foreign, and I'm not going to take that away from people.
No.
But the mega market cap companies, like, it's not a coincidence that 2 were founded in Seattle and 2 were founded in Silicon Valley.
Right?
And that's not even counting the next tier of mega market companies.
Right.
That just doesn't say those first 4 I say existed. We all know which one I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, even if you took those 4 out and then counted the next 4, you'd be like, well, these are pretty fucking big too. And then if you took those out and counted the next 4, you'd be like, well, we're still doing okay.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Like the mega market tech firms. This is the only way I can describe it. We don't have reciprocal arrangements with anything like Apple. Like we don't necessarily buy from a foreign conglomerate like they buy from us. And regardless of the arguments about manufacturing aside, right?
Yeah.
If 50 iPhones get sold and 25 get shipped to the Grove in LA and 25 get shipped to the Grove in Shanghai, you know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Apple shareholders got rich on all 50.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we don't have a reciprocal arrangement like that with really anybody. Nobody.
When you say we, you mean
The U.S.
U.S.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
right? That's what I'm saying. We don't really have that sort of product offering. I think we do have some in and this is Jason and I went on this for like hours last night. We went on an Oldsmobile rampage. We do have.
It's good when you're drunk and you're just going. It just comes and like you're so right.
But like we do have reciprocal arrangements like this at auto manufacturing.
Yeah.
Right. Passenger car.
Oh my God! I thought of this car. I gotta. God damn it! I don't think I can load it. Do you remember the Plymouth Laser?
Oh, well, that was the.
That's one of those in '90 whatever.
Yeah. My friend had one of those, but it was also wasn't it another car called like the Eagle Talon?
Yeah,
it was
the Talon.
same car. And then, but there was a Mitsubishi one too.
Right.
It was called like the Gallant or something.
Yeah, we were talking about that transition, like Cavalier to the big car to like tiny car.
Oh yeah.
That was like a two-door.
It was so funny, so funny.
Everybody I knew that had a car like that, it was always...
Everyone had them in Ohio, too.
Yeah.
Cavalier, like, you know.
Joe, where did you grow up?
Arizona, Tucson.
Yeah. I've not spent a lot of time there, but one of my favorite movies was filmed there with the guy that played Dr. McDreamy eventually. Can't Buy Me Love was the movie.
Yes. So...
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey.
I was born in the neighborhood where, so that house was basically like a common house, like a clubhouse for the neighborhood. And they shot it as if it was their house, but that was my neighborhood.
So that hits really close to home.
No, yes, literally. So that's
Jason
always been funny to me.
Tell us what year that movie took place within, 6 months. I would say 88, 87.
That's probably 88.
I think it was shot...
87, maybe?
I think it's 80, because that's the year I was born. I really do think it was like right.
I'll look.
We're in the ballpark.
We have the
that was sort of my tween.
I remember seeing it in the theater. I went to the theater and saw it. I was going to the theater a lot, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I finally watched it. And yeah, not bad.
I mean, I don't think it's going to like win like a lifetime Oscar or anything, but like
no.
It was still kind of a cool sort of teenage.
87. 1987.
What's the thing? See? Now look at the example though. With Google, we don't have to ask anything.
You should know that. But I guessed. Didn't I guess 87?
You did guess 87.
Yeah, so I was right. I have to look at it.
Right.
It's better to have the memory than ask Google or Alexa or whatever.
Right.
Right. Siri.
Yeah, I've not spent significant time in Tucson. I'd imagine I'd like it. I've been to Phoenix a few times.
Tucson's beautiful. It's and I like Phoenix, but when you grow up in Tucson, there's a big bias built in, pretty much. But Phoenix is obviously better for opportunity, but Tucson's nice. Got a lot of culture. Good downtown.
Well, and this is exactly what I was saying earlier with my Iowa City example, right? Like, we have it pretty good. Some people can say that they have it better than others, but like we have it pretty good. Like when you read all these Texas versus California articles, you're like, but wait a second. There's job creation going on in both places.
Yeah.
Like, what's the verse?
I think some of it's clickbait.
It is. And I'm also with you. Yeah. When you said that, I wanted to bring this up because I have a couple friends moving to Idaho, to Boise.
Yeah.
And when you look at the trouble they had buying a house there, like the way the market is, it's like clearly a lot of people are latching on to exactly the idea that you're saying, Yeah. It's like, there's a lot here, and I think the housing market is showing that people are realizing that kind of thing.
Look, economics says that transactions happen where supply and demand curves meet, period. And it's going to meet in a different place in every place. All I'm suggesting is everywhere in America, it's pretty good that people try. Like Boise's pretty good. Like, I'm sure 10 years ago, housing prices were much cheaper. But that doesn't help the person that's 27 years old right now looking for their first house. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were 17. So that's sort of the end of the deal.
Yeah. And it's true for Arizona. I mean,
it's true everywhere.
Yeah.
They're generally going up in most
cities,
most metropolitan areas. And part of it is, like I said, I think our economy is strong. But part of it is America has a history of migration from rural to urban areas. And it just continues.
Mm-hmm.
So cities, like if you look at the economy like the center of a circle, the centers are always going to go up. They're just going to keep going up.
Right.
You know, unless we have net migrations out, which we used to have. Like in the 60s and 70s, we had net migrations out of the city centers into suburbia, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for the last 25 years, that trend is well reversed.
Yeah, for sure.
So you know, you got to look at, you know, this. Like I said, there's no economy like ours. You can't measure it like us. Like it's not. I'm not saying it's perfect. By no means. I'm not this like everything's great for everyone.
Oh, I
We're
love
all
the positivity though. I love it, man.
but it's different here than anywhere else.
Yeah,
It's different.
That's very true.
And not to mention that some of the best people in the world still continue to want to move here,
Mm-hmm.
or at least spend significant time here.
And I've looked at it from both angles too, because I definitely, for a while, you know, thought about the whole like get out of the city thing, especially when you're looking at another pandemic or supply shortages, and you're like, is this the best place to be? But there's like a case to be made both ways, where you're like, actually, the cities, American cities really are like, and American urban centers are like some of the best places to be when shit hits the fan. Like, I mean, yeah, the crime can take off, but the supply chain can be much better. I don't know. It's a funny little debate that's going on right now.
Well, I think the debate comes from emotion rather than economics.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we keep showing leadership over and over again economically. Now, this is a problem too, because people keep getting left behind
Right.
in the same process.
Yeah.
Like it's not great for you that LA housing prices went up 18% when you don't own a home, right?
So fucking scary.
Like now
It's
you're
scary.
18%.
I'm like, well, guess what? Apartment living
Unless
still.
you happen to not want to buy a home and you know you made some other brilliant investment, you know, but for the average person,
Never gonna happen.
it's a problem, right? So this is always the great debate about America, is that the prosperity creates a certain equation on the other side too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's true.
But that's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's happening everywhere. And the only thing I can say is that I try to say, if someone wants to move somewhere and they have a passion for it, you can't be everywhere at the same time.
Yeah. When did you move here? What year was that?
17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was the teens. I was like, he hasn't.
Yeah. I've been here just about 4 years. In fact, this week will be 4 years.
Nice.
So, but everybody that is comfortable with their lifestyle will go say things like, what are all those people doing all over there? Why would anybody go there? And anybody that's uncomfortable will be like, oh, maybe I'll give that a shot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and most people are somewhere in between. Most people are content, but also do show empathy and say, I understand why that person has a different perspective than I do, because this place is not that easy to live into.
Right.
No, sometimes.
And sometimes,
is,
right. And sometimes weather objectively affects people, right?
yeah.
Too much cold and too much heat sometimes does actually affect people. So they have to make decisions accordingly.
We have
Yeah.
a weather story we're going to talk about. You want to talk about
Oh, that's right.
Canada?
Let's do that.
I'll just bring it up. I'll bring it up right now.
Do it. Bring it up.
Joe, you had the link, right? Canadian clam bake.
I do.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah.
did you see this, Robbie?
This is a very interesting conversation because you like
But
we're
look,
going on about like
literally.
we're just going, you know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like this.
Oh,
it's
is
literally
this
cooking.
Is this the Northwest issue?
Yeah, like in Canada, it was like 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh,
So the the sea, like all the oysters and everything, they're cooking.
Oh.
They're cooking, man.
Yeah.
Extreme heat, mussels.
And we said 40 Celsius was what, like 108 or something?
Yeah, or 105, I think.
105, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, that's terrible.
it's awful.
So there, yeah, I mean, but this concept is crazy to me.
British Columbia, I think it was Toronto, and
Mussels, clams, and snails cooking
Yeah.
to death. Damn. Should I play the video? What do you think?
no.
Okay.
You get the
Yeah.
gist of it. I just don't want to
Yeah.
get flagged for.
So the
Yeah.
gist
No, I
of
hear
it
you.
is these are normally raw sea-bearing creatures that are
Right.
minding their own business, where they may be harvested, but if they don't, nobody finds them, they're okay for a while.
Just bring some butter and have a meal, like on the beach, a nice hot day.
A total of 777 deaths in that province alone from June 25th to July 1st.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
See?
Terrible. So the question is what's going on in the Northwest a sustained event or a one-time event, right?
Right.
I don't know the answer.
I don't either. That's what's so crazy.
That's a global warming thing. That's does that mean it's going to be a awful winter?
Right. I mean, the fact that this was reported this year, it's like the fact that it's such a novelty. It's like, what's happening next year?
Well, as a competition guy, right? I'm not taking a political opinion, but as you can tell, I'm pretty competitive. Like I'm pretty much in like economic competition.
We try to not too political on that.
I do like I do like your economic angle. So
I just think that like there's no again, the extremists on the green side and the non-green side go on forever, right? And I say like from a competitive angle, it's actually better that we have both people. Like we have advocacy for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It creates more energy options, and ultimately the people can choose what they want. You can decide if you want a BMW 3 Series or a Tesla 3.
Right.
You can decide if you want a traditional, turbo diesel engine, or it's not diesel anymore, but a turbo,
Oh yeah, there's hybrid. They're doing, the whole
or
thing
something in between, like a hybrid, right?
Or electric.
I do believe more competition is good in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And most of us realize that the issue is more complicated in the sense that, like, okay, yes, we want, like, a lot of us want renewable energy, but is this time and this specific situation the best way to do it? And I'm not referring to anything specific, but I'm saying, like, something can be a good goal in general, but maybe we're not seeing it executed well. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well,
that's
the competitive landscape says you don't yank somebody's livelihood out from under them, right?
Right.
I also think it says that you've invested into this job and this trade skill for the United States or for Canada, and you should get to keep doing it. But again, that may be a little bit too political. But my point is that I don't like the extremism on either side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the middle should come together and say, how do we move in the right direction? And how does everybody get to move, properly?
Forward.
Yeah, forward. Yeah. And like, reality is that when we talk about, our jet fuel economy, right? Like, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like these planes are not going to run off, somebody blowing on their wings.
No.
Like, this is like, it's not going to be like Top Gun 3. Like,
oh man, we're still waiting for the sequel.
Very true.
It got delayed, right? It got delayed.
Yeah, and again, I think if one theme I can relay here tonight is that I believe in like balance and progress, in a progressive America. But like, I think again, the most extreme people get their voices heard the most.
Of course, that's true.
You know what I mean?
No, that's definitely true. Jason, do you want to go into and Ravi? I don't know what your timing is like, but should we go into some of our topics?
Yeah.
And
do you want to go into more? You want to stay?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, was that just the warm up?
That was.
I mean, that's just us talking to you.
Literally, man. I told you last night we need to have guests. This is like, it's good to have a guest, man. We get more.
Well, I hope I didn't bore you. This is new to me too, but I've always wanted to do something like this.
No, this is what we want the show to be. Typically, we just bring some topics in and talk about.
This is great. Usually we just talk, but we don't have. We had audio issues for a while. Getting the stream down, like doing it, it's a whole process. The tech side was not friendly to us.
Yeah, and like this is what we want the show to be. We want to have these conversations.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But
if you want to hang around, it's up to you, man. You were here. We're talking for like an hour already, man. It's awesome.
Oh, are we? Is this the time where you guys keep going, or what do you want me to do?
No, what we do is like in the couple times we've had guests, we talk and then we start bringing up some news items, and then if you want to comment on, kind of like just with the sea life, the Canadian sea life thing.
Yeah, like that thing.
Yeah, I would like to just like listen in for the most part.
Are you excited? How about this?
Am I excited?
It affects the neighborhood. Did you hear about the Vista?
Oh, that's
I
right.
Ravi.
I think generally he's been a fairly positive influence on
Yes.
classic LA.
Yes.
True. So yeah, Tarantino's buying it. That's crazy.
That's great. Is that like confirmed, or is that like
Totally confirmed. Yeah.
awesome? And he owns the one on Beverly too, right?
Right. Same kind of vibe, but I think he's going to run new things. You know.
That's
That happened this week. I think he said it on somebody's podcast, but
Yeah,
What
I
do you think
just
about it?
heard about it.
I'm happy it's going to come back. I miss the Vista.
I know, so do I.
I haven't been to a movie theater yet. You know, I want to go, and that was like the place I would go. But I think it's still going to be film, you know.
But it was on Dax Shepard's podcast. He
Dax
revealed
Shepard.
it.
Okay.
But he has, what's the one, Jason, that you always bring up?
Yeah, the one Robbie just said, the New Beverly. I used to
New
live
Beverly.
over there. I lived over there and I'd go all the time, but they're always old, classic 35 millimeter prints, you know. I think he says it in here, like...
07, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm wondering. So he usually does that kind
He's
of
a
thing
believer
there.
in, like, the boutique theater, which I don't think... In it, he was talking about megaplexes and stuff. Which are
But I'm
probably-
wondering, now I'm like, well, what kind of films is he going to want to show here? You
No,
know?
he said new movies. He'll have new movies.
Okay.
But it'll be like a short run. You know what I mean? Like they were doing anyways. They were already doing that.
Right.
You know, it wasn't there for a long time. So
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
go
So,
ahead.
which is like his analysis of how LA should be, I think, is proper. He doesn't necessarily need to make a living off
right.
endeavor,
Right.
right? He wants to probably make a profit because generally you're supposed to do that when you have a business. But
Yeah.
I think he just wants to keep it going and cherish what Hollywood is. And I think this is probably one of those classic venues, and he sees an opportunity there. And the owners are probably saying, maybe I don't know who owns it right now.
It's the same guy that bought it in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think he owns the Los Feliz 3 too.
So Tarantino's,
Yeah.
because he's a private citizen, we have no idea what his net worth is, right? He's never really started a public company. So we don't know what he owns in stock shares. But I guarantee you, because he made it big in 94, and that also happened to be the year where the internet hit the United States, he probably invested pretty wisely.
He probably did okay.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right? He probably did okay for himself.
Yeah.
So, and that's good. I mean, I think it's good. It's better that he owns it than it gets torn down.
I know. Yeah, it's got to be a landmark at this point, I think. But
You can see the properties around there have gotten torn down, right?
dude, that's nuts right now. They're building like two. I think they're next door where that COVID testing spot is.
Yeah.
Right.
That they were going to tear that down. I think like 6 months ago. So someone bought it because there was that other bar. Did you ever go to Good Luck Bar?
Oh, the Good Luck. Yeah.
Oh,
I've never.
It was so cool there. I only got to go there once right before they killed it.
Robbie. It was like an opium den in there,
Okay, I'm dead.
but it was like a tiki drinks.
But good vibe.
Tiki drinks.
Yeah, before I close out this subject, only film. It won't be a revival house.
Right.
So they'll show new movies when they give them a film print. So
Right.
that's
Yeah, New Beverly. It's all in there.
interesting. Yeah. Hey, I'm just glad something's... I don't know what's happening with Los Feliz 3, but I don't want that going anywhere. I love having both those.
I think
Right around me.
that's something they did with like they're doing the 35 thing there, 35 millimeter like American Cinematheque. I don't think they're open yet either, but
Yeah, I don't think so. You guys been to that taco place right by it? Tacos Tu Madre?
I haven't been there, but I've seen the line.
yes,
It's good, I gotta
It's
say.
good.
we tried to get breakfast right there the other night.
The other night, like after the...
What was it, 4th of July or the 3rd of July, Rob?
oh, okay.
Didn't we go walk over there and everything was
Lang and I
closed?
are glad that LA is reopened. So
Yes.
we
So
try to
glad.
think
Me too.
it's exactly normal.
Joe, yeah, Joe too. Joe's very happy.
Like, the issue is that like you don't know exactly what's quite back yet.
I know, we're in such a weird gray area. Like, if I go into Erewhon, like 95% has the mask on, but most other places, people have stopped. So
Yeah.
this is a weird coming back. It's very not cut and dry. As far as what I'm seeing, but
No, it's not. And like the only thing you can hope is that people are people are going in the right direction. Because if we have to shut down again, let's just.
Oh God, no!
I know.
Not again.
Not again, please.
Please.
And then you hear about these people that are like, you hear about this new variant coming in. You hear about people
Delta and all this. Yeah.
And like, let's see what happens. But I hope that people understand that what's good for LA is the same thing that's good for any other city right now. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
we're all in this together.
So as far as, and this is actually a good transition because we're talking about COVID. I have a couple things I found amusing. So, did you know that there was a hidden epidemic among household pets?
No.
No.
Now I remember
What?
them kind of saying this when this whole thing kicked off. They were like,
thought
"Your
dogs-
pets can get them."
Dogs couldn't, right? Where they smelled it.
So I never knew. I don't know. At the beginning, they said you can get it from your pets / give it to your pets. It was like, and everyone was like, whoa, what's going on? But
I like
do you guys remember this?
Animal COVID. Let's do that.
He's getting it for sure. This guy.
Oh, well, they said it's
Or
not-
giving it.
or giving
Or giving.
or giving it.
I think this is what I was saying. Since early on in the pandemic, there have been reports of animals catching the virus behind COVID-19. Dogs, cats, big and small, and members of the weasel family, like minks
Oh
and
yeah, I
otters.
heard like llamas couldn't get it. They had the
Oh, I remember that. You know
Yeah.
what? I remember that
llamas.
too. That's funny.
I remember llamas.
So, I guess anyone with a pet llama is
that was a
safe.
definite shared amongst some other friends. Was like, well, llamas have the antibody.
But this is funny to me. It's like, was there really like a little pet network of this pandemic? It's like,
Who knows? I mean, we're learning, right?
Well, the question isn't so much to me, are they getting it? Are they affected by it?
right.
Like,
exactly.
that's my question,
Does
right?
that make it?
That's actually the better question. Yeah, is were they affected by it?
Are they getting affected? Are they getting sick? Are they in some cases unfortunately dying? That I don't know.
Well, I guess this kind of answers it.
Now, as you can tell, back to my theory, these articles kind of leave that thing ambiguous, don't they?
Yeah,
Yes. And that's kind of the problem we've been having, I would say, for the past year is like
for the past year.
they'll kind of like give you a thread and then take it away. And you're like, well wait, I wanted to know. What,
You believe
like,
what you want to believe, and then
This is the first time hearing any follow-up of this whole concept. Because I did wonder this whole time because me and my wife foster dogs. And I'm like, whatever happened to the whole idea of like passing it and getting it from a dog? Yeah, about 1 out of 5 pets will catch the disease from their owners. Luckily, the animals do not get very ill from it. So
There we go. See?
that's that part of it. But that is good. Unless
I think
there's
I read something today about the zoos. There's some zoos that are starting to.
Oh, that too. They're vaxxing, right?
Yeah, they're gonna start vaccinating tigers and
That's
like certain
right.
animals. I don't know, like I think San Diego the gorilla safari, San Diego Zoo.
Yeah, what zoos is that happening? Zoo animals are getting experimental coronavirus vaccines.
Okay,
So, yes. Yes, you're right. Big cats, ferrets, apes, and bears
okay.
are benefiting from the gift.
How did the ferrets jump into that?
How's the bear get in?
Well, I guess, I mean, that's what they said in the last
funny.
article. That I guess a lot of ferrets are highly prone. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
11,000 doses.
Okay.
But vaccines for pets are not recommended. So what's funny is we literally just read an article that's like, there's a secret pandemic amongst the pet community, and now they're like, actually, vaccines for pets are not recommended.
That's funny.
Okay. I don't know. This is where you wonder, like,
What's the analysis?
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it
11.
because the animals can't social distance?
I mean, they're on top of each other.
It's actually, it's a good point.
right.
Because you wonder if they say like the hidden pandemic amongst pets, but then they're
That's funny.
denying them. So 11,000 doses of the vaccine to 70 zoos, sanctuaries, universities.
Oakland. It says Oakland and...
Yeah, Oakland Zoo. And I think I saw something about Denver Zoo.
Okay.
Can we segue into a conversation about pets right now?
Yes, I would love that.
Sure.
Like, there is a lot of pets out there.
Robbie, do you have pets? Do you have any pets?
No, I don't have time for pets.
Yeah.
Not that I don't.
Joe's fostered like 13 dogs. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot of pets out there.
It's because I live with a woman, but I am not a pet guy.
You weren't even a dog guy, right?
No,
at first,
I never liked dogs.
I've always liked pets. To me, it's an escalation between liking a pet and like having responsibility for.
There's a lot of responsibility.
Two different things.
And responsibility also include expenses.
Yes.
Correct.
So, like
you got to feed it. You got
to feed it. You can't just take off to Hawaii on that last Southwest flight that's going away for $350.
Nope. And that's the crux for me. Therein is the issue.
But I'm not saying I don't like them. Like, I understand with households with children, they're not tending to do that thing anyway, right? Like, if you've got Junior in the house and you're not taking off the last, like, I get it, you know?
Right.
But, like, I feel like a lot of single people and a lot of couples without children, that really should take the time, even if they don't, like we were talking about this other, Joe, like, it's one thing to say I'm going to relocate to Idaho, right? But it's one other thing to say, look, I've got some time in my hands. I'm going to Airbnb. I'm going to stick around Boise for 7 days and see what everybody's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Still not that easy to do with a pet.
Yeah.
Not when you have a 10-year-old dog. You got to like...
And you know what? It affects these areas that I never thought about really. So last weekend we were at a resort and the resort allowed dogs. So great. Okay. My wife's happy. The dog's happy. If they're happy, I'm happy. So we're there. And then on the checkout day, I'm like, wait, when we check out, we can still chill at the pool and drink and stuff. This is going to be awesome. But then it literally comes down to the moment I'm putting on sunscreen and I'm like, wait, we're checking out to go hang at the pool. Where's the fucking dog going to go? And like that became its own issue in itself. And I had to ask for like an extension and can we keep the dog in the room? It was like, that stuff is like, I don't like those complications, man. I don't.
I appreciate you saying that because that's why I'm never getting married.
I hear you.
No. I don't. It's not that I would never get married. I'm saying you got to be on the same page with
You have to be on the same page.
It's almost like you have to be on the same page with pets nowadays. Like you have to be on the same page with kids.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but it's true. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, kids, you can have an accident. Dog is like, you're getting it. Cat, you're getting it.
Right.
Well,
and a cat, you can leave. I'm
not trying to compare a pet to a kid. A kid's a much more complicated thing.
So
but in that scenario,
it's a human
in that
being,
resort scenario, you might also say to yourself, Grandma and Grandpa on one side may want to take 6 or 7 days. Now's the time to do that. It's great, and it kind of works out for everybody, right? That's not necessarily true about the pet scenario.
Exactly. Yeah, there's like people. Yeah, it would have been almost easier to find someone to watch if we had, let's say, we had a baby at the last moment than a pet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
I just think pets are complicated, and there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, it can also ruin. It can ruin relationships. No,
100%.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them, and then like there's always the question now of what's a pet and what's an animal.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. Like I see people with, like, I think I saw someone with a therapy bird on a plane a couple months ago. And it was just like, what? Are you serious?
See, I'm glad we're broaching the tough topics.
Oh, my goodness.
What comfort is that bird bringing you? Come on.
Again, I don't have a solution for these things. These are just kind of like after you guys went through those last 2 articles, like, I've been thinking about this pet stuff for a long time.
Well, that's funny though.
No, the thing is, I'm with you on them, and I've had to explore the other side, by virtue of compromising. And okay, well, my wife likes dogs, and she volunteers at the shelter. But I've also, and so I never wanted to do this, but now I've seen another side where I'm like, there's a lot of people who like ditch their pets for the dumbest reasons. It's like, oh, we had this dog for 7 years, but then we're moving, so we're gonna leave the pet at the shelter. It's like,
It's awful.
I'm just
It's
like,
awful.
what?
It's awful.
It's awful. So
I
like,
don't know.
I don't know the solution, but I do think that like we need to think about this a little bit further.
Yes,
I think some people need to think about this a little further, and I think that
It's a big responsibility to get a pet.
but you know, it's actually for me, and I've been saying this. This was one of the first things I noticed when the COVID lockdowns came into LA. I was like, they had to stop playing up this whole pets can get COVID angle, because imagine if Newsom told or our mayor told people in LA that you can't walk your dog because it could spread COVID.
Oh, man.
There would be a female dog owner uprising.
At every dog park.
Yeah, I mean that we would see a gigantic protest because the city runs on women with dogs. That's you know what I mean?
Is it your experience? And just because I'm not married, I mean this objective. Is it your experience? It's more women that have this desire than men?
Single women in LA and San Francisco, from my experience with dogs, is a gigantic demographics of its own.
Fair. No, that's fair.
That's my experience. So I'm like, they could have never made that work. Even if dogs were the primary spreader of COVID,
Yeah.
they couldn't never have stopped that movement.
You know, there was a lot of pets in New Orleans too, and
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily detect a pattern whether it was more female or
Yeah,
male.
but New Orleans, there's like dog bars. You can go to like our bar and you can bring your dog in there.
Yeah.
Right?
You can bring the dog. Well, look, New Orleans has always naturally also been designed for a lot of outdoor patio seating,
Yeah.
right? So at the very least, I think there's
Yeah,
not.
that's something LA had a hard time.
LA had a hard time with, but New Orleans, like
Yeah.
all this shit they started regulating, and I'm like, no, you can do that in New Orleans anyway. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you can have the plastic double margarita. I'm like, you can do that in New Orleans anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It just works differently. The whole city just works differently. But I just think that for me, again, as a performer, that really says, if I get a last minute gig in fucking Anchorage, and I
There you
got to
go.
go to Anchorage tomorrow in a nonstop flight, like
Yeah.
I'm going. I don't want to make any provisions for a pet, but that might be a little bit too arrogant and I guess self-involved, and I understand that balance too. I'm just saying I chose to do a very specific thing. You know?
And that's realistic to that thing, you know? It's better to know that than for you to get a dog and not think about that and then be like, oh, I got a gig, I got to give this dog to the shelter.
Yeah,
Right.
or will
And-
somebody take it? Somebody I know take it.
Right. So I think it's better to know what you're saying. It's better to kind of know that. And so I'm with you. It's like,
It's better to know. And I think if you have a traveling job without proper care, you should think about that. You know?
yeah.
You may have a spouse that's very committed and says, I don't care. Like Joe can run off to Anchorage and do a gig on Good
She
Morning.
likes dogs. She likes dogs, Robbie.
Yeah. But for you it might be okay.
She likes Rob. She likes dogs.
Yeah.
I think she would like Joe to go to Anchorage.
Maybe I'd
That's
like
my
to go to Anchorage.
Personal.
Is anybody thinking about me?
I'm thinking about it.
I
I
think it
think
would surf your conversation during COVID animals, but what's your next topic?
The next topic, and I was going to ask if you had any background on this about Britney Spears.
no way.
The conservatorship.
You have
I
any-
don't know. Well, yeah, dude, that's a lawyer question. Right?
Yeah. And an entertainment question. So
It's
don't know.
about
I don't know much about conservatorship, but it's interesting to me.
a
You
lot
know-
of it's her dad, right?
I guess I'd have to look at the facts, but eventually, the only thing I got to say is something must have been approved or not approved by the LA County courts. Is that where they live?
I
I
think
don't know
so.
what
Yeah.
I think so. I'll pull up an article in a sec, but
Yeah.
I want to hear your first thoughts.
I don't know much. Like
I didn't deep dive into. I was like, I saw this happening. And I was like,
I do know that oftentimes with these family, almost like if you take this sort of Partridge Family world, right, of these sort of family bands, some patriarch in some ways does take over financial control. I don't know what happened in her case. You know what I mean? I just don't know. But
I know she was a Mickey
but in
Mouse
a fictional
kid,
world, we see
right?
this happen. You know
Wasn't
what I mean?
she on the Mickey Mouse Club as a child actress?
Yeah, that's the best example I can give. So I don't know.
You know,
but I know there's a lot of hatred on both sides of this argument.
Oh yeah, like
so. Legally, I don't have a stance. I don't know much about conservatorship. I've never had to deal with that issue.
Yeah.
And from a family law perspective, I think it's easier to keep things within the family than have public scrutiny. But that's true about any family law issue. You know what I mean? So in some ways, I have a lot of empathy for the entire family in this situation because I'm sure this is a tough thing. You know,
I think that's where the problem is.
And everybody has an opinion.
I think she's been fighting her family her whole career, you know?
Yeah. That I don't know. Like I said, like the thing, like you look at like the family law issues, like we get so interested in celebrities and their family issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we really don't have any business. Like we've all had neighbors that have gone through a really rough family time, you know? So
right.
I wish them the best. I hope that, she gets a opportunity for arguments, because factually it's going to be very complicated for one person from the outside to say, oh, this is right or this is wrong, but yet they'll all try to do it. So I'm going to try not to do it. You know what I mean?
No, and that's the right move because there's an entire movement now with the Free Britney, and I watched the documentary. I don't know if you guys did, and it's like that isn't. I mean, that doesn't tell me much because you can make a documentary about anything and make someone look sympathetic. You know.
Look, you can take a position on anything. Take Britney Spears aside. Do you guys remember in the early 2000s when there was like a really big anti-McDonald's movement?
Anti-McDonald's.
Because of the coffee?
It was everything from everything. It was the supersizing.
Right.
But like...
That whole doc. There was a doc on that, right?
But again, Lane, we all grew up in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like we all grew up in the era of... We talked about this last night. 1982, E.T., single mom, right?
Single mom.
And the question I have is on day 3, when single moms work 90 hours and she's got fucking 2 kids at home that are screaming, I want food. And she says, I want to buy you an extra value meal at McDonald's. You guys can split it and fend for yourself.
Right.
It's not
that's the opening of the movie, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way it works. Like the assumption of McDonald's valuing is not that it's for one person, right?
No.
But on the flip side, some guys and some people can just eat more too. All I'm suggesting is you can make an argument from the outside about anything. You can have your opinion, and you can even justify that argument. And like, I think it has to be fact-based. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're right. But you know what's? It's so funny you brought up that ET thing because.
Oh, we were talking about E.T. last night.
Okay.
I think Lang and I agree
I love that movie, man.
E.T. is one of if not
our
favorite movies to watch and talk about. Yeah.
Me too. It's hands down one of my favorites, probably in top 5. But that single mom thing is something as a kid I didn't see that I watched it a couple months ago and was like, I'm seeing I'm actually able to make so many like social connections to like just by observing their family.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's the fact that you brought that specific point up was interesting to me.
I just think that I think there's 2 sides to every story. Like we're talking about Britney Spears, we're talking about E.T., we're talking about single parenthood. But I do believe family law issues are so complicated to dive in on the side and say, I know, is really not fair to anybody. No, and then you add the public figure aspect.
Oh, and then Twitter.
If it was Bezos, if it was
and
Jeff
then Twitter, and then
I would say the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I think that the issues are so complicated. You'd have to write some pretty complicated memos to really understand what's going on that involve fact and law. And the average public person, let's face it, is not going to get anywhere close to the ballpark of that.
No.
Right? At least as an attorney, I can say I did some of that. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not willing to write that memo about this issue because I've already done that. But I've done a lot of that work. So at least I can say, I kind of have some idea how to analyze these things.
And I believe you, but I also believe you when you say people can't comment, because in this culture specifically that we're in now, there's a lot of self-proclaimed experts about
Correct.
everything. People read the headlines and they're an expert. So
Yeah.
You got celebrities taking political opinions,
Yeah.
and I understand. That's a very tempting thing to do because you have a platform, right? You have a platform of Twitter followers, Instagram followers, and all that.
Yeah.
But most celebrities built their platform off people of various degrees of political spectrum and economic spectrum that just like their performance, right? So you got to keep that in mind too. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, look at, again, I'm referencing the doc that I don't think you guys saw, but the entire movement was built from basically like a podcast, and they obviously had some background information, and I do believe that they had enough to get mobilized, but they're not privy to every legal detail of the case, and so it gets complicated when something goes from a legal matter to a popular or pop culture matter.
Well, right, and the law itself, people think law is so easy. Like, I'm just going to read the statute and I know this law. But we're
You're gonna pass the bar, man.
No, but my point is, it's one thing to say, let me put it this way. The legal issues on the case are just not going to come from one source.
Yeah.
They're going to come from statutes, they're going to come from facts, and they're going to come from case law. And those things are going to come together for people to make decisions. And unfortunately, some judge somewhere is going to have to make a very tough decision.
Oh, yeah.
But all I'm saying is the common public person is not necessarily going to be able to, there's going to be people out there that are already pro-Britney or anti-Britney.
Totally.
And they're going to be like, okay, this is my argument because I'm pro-Britney. And this is my, that's the problem. This is a very emotional thing. You can't change people's mind.
No. You could bought all her albums since the 90s,
Yeah. I mean, there's no question that Britney Spears is a huge impact on pop culture in our country, right? In the last 25 years. That's factually a correct statement, right?
Yeah.
But how that applies to this situation, all I'm saying is that I hope people allow the parties to get to have their proper arguments heard without bias. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I'm with you, and then there's the issue of, like, my wife brought up something interesting, because you read it and obviously you want to sympathize with her, and I guess just to give some background, it's that her conservatorship is run by her father, and there's a lot of dispute around that.
Long time.
But yeah, and so, but my wife read this article, like the one I just put up on the screen. She's like, there could actually be something going on with Britney Spears if several judges have ruled consistently in favor of the conservatorship. So,
well, there you go. That's my point. Point. And maybe she has arguments that over time, that those previous judgments don't hold as much water.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because time does change everything. So that's what you said is the pro-conservative argument. What I said is maybe the pro-Britney argument. But my point is those facts have to play out.
Yes, exactly.
That's all my point is. There was a lot of public commotion about 3 years ago when I moved to LA. There was a lot of public commotion about some sort of Brad Pitt Angelina dispute over
children and stuff.
But reality is that's between them.
Totally.
And I'd hear my coworkers say Brad Pitt didn't pay his child support, and then boom, done. Because now I'm man-hating Brad Pitt, right? And it's but you don't know the facts.
Yeah.
No.
You don't know what is really going on. You just
Zero.
formed an opinion, and you're done. But one thing we know is that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are a American factory of pop culture again.
Correct.
So anything that happens in their lives is going to be interest. Not just American pop culture, global pop culture.
Oh, it's global.
Yeah.
Right?
They're international superstars.
And they're super talented. They're
Yeah.
both super talented. And, those are the facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on between them is we don't know. They haven't told us.
So
they're
funny.
not running around in the BBC going, okay, Brad Pitt is now going to tell everything that happened in marriage for the last 11 years. Like,
Yeah.
he's not doing that.
No. Hell no, he's not.
It's all very simple to me when these disputes arise. Like, these are all family disputes, but we don't know all the facts.
He won't.
And we won't.
Yeah.
We won't.
He won't.
And most people aren't going to have the wherewithal to analyze the law. So boom, now you got 2 punch, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the elephant in the room is that what we're talking about is the nuanced and correct way of looking at this. And if we wanted to smash the ratings, maybe we'd all come in with a hot take. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it to do that necessarily.
I don't care.
I think you smash the ratings by showing extreme talent and something the public wants and being pretty honest about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of fly-by-night talent out there. And I don't think, even if it's one great night, I don't think you want to be that person. You know what I mean?
True. You're right.
I don't know how many people you guys have going on your podcast right now, but we're talking about some pretty serious, analytical stuff that, this is snorter stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I don't know. Do you have any numbers right now that you want to let me know about? Do you have an idea? I don't know.
As far as current viewers or our top?
Or where you
No, we're building the channel.
We're building it. Some weeks it's cool. We get some guys in the chat and
donate to us. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all hard. We're trying to build 6 different things at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our viewer base is small. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Just offline, you can tell me how we did compared to some of your other shows after a while.
For sure.
Just out of curiosity, like I said, I'm a pretty
will.
economically, algebraically driven person, right? So
Yes.
it's not like I'm going to judge either way. I just would like to know,
I would love. Yes. I will tell
No,
you.
I'm with you.
I will tell you.
This has been probably our most fun episode for me,
Really?
is because we've been able to look at all the stuff we got into. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of depressing because sometimes it's if we just have the correct hashtag, even if we had a pretty lackluster episode, then that episode will just
Right.
kill.
And people will come in, they'll talk,
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's funny.
because we had a guest, we didn't, go
Yeah.
to the chat,
Well, more abstract thought on the subject, when you're talking about socio issues and religion, politics, everybody says don't talk about these things at the bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But when you go to the bar, it's all anybody wants to talk about,
Totally.
right?
True.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff is really faith-based too. And it's very hard to change someone's mind if they truly have faith on the subject.
Oh, no shit. No,
Like,
that's
like when someone I know got the vaccination, they'll call me from their car on the way home. They're like, oh, yeah, it went fine, whatever. My arm's a little sore. The healthcare professionals were really nice. That's kind of the end of it. When someone's an anti-vaxxer, they'll go on for 6 hours.
Mhm.
How their friend's arms fell off and you know what I'm saying? I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying that at some point, people are just going to have a fundamentalist difference, and you can't change their mind.
No. It's human nature, right?
You can't change their mind. So what I've learned is just, if it's someone I really care about, I'll engage with them for a while. But if it's not, I just have to stop.
Mm-hmm. And that's getting to be a tough arena to figure out, because I've always had your same perspective. There's a whole question of if you put 2 people in a room and they're both armed with all the facts they need,
Right.
will they change each other's minds? And I'm actually of the other opinion, where I say some people actually just have fundamentally different principles, and convictions. So sometimes, like, it doesn't matter. They could both have all the facts, but if they see the world different, there's no reconciling that. It's just
This is reconciling, and that's why the West Coast of the United States, to me, I believe, has created the most wealth, because people can put those small facts aside. They can say, I moved here from this country, I'm of a different religion than you, but we both have this technical experience that's very high. We both went to the top technical schools in our countries, and it's better for us to go at it and create some sort of product and service together than go work for XYZ Corporation.
Yeah.
And it's my belief that this happens in this country on the West Coast almost every day. And then some of those companies flourish into some
other companies, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No.
I do like that about the West Coast, and I probably did not appreciate that. I think that accelerated in the late 80s, as we were talking about, Jason, right?
Yeah.
Accelerated in the late 80s as more tech and more, the internet came together in the late 80s and early 90s. But so many people want to talk cool. It's the Hollywood thing. I want to throw my hands up in the air. Like I'm doing I know, because I know, and I'm even going to throw my hands up at you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because now you know I'm cool. But that's not. I just don't know if that's how good argument works. I think good arguments are very mundane. Oh, I'll tell you a scene. Did you guys see the movie Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, watch the library scene between Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. At the Philadelphia Public Library. Apparently, the library in this scene has like a law reading room. I don't know if that's a real thing or a fake thing, right? But it has sort of a reading room where there's sort of legal type research going on.
But there's an etiquette to that?
And there's an etiquette to it. It's the way the characters interact with each other. It's the way the background actors interact.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Well, just refresh your recollection on the scene. But what you see is two people that come from very different viewpoints,
right,
coming together on a legal issue concerning the AIDS.
Yeah.
And keep in mind it's fiction. But again, this was a very real thing going on in the country just 5 years before that movie was filmed.
Yeah.
Right. But what's interesting to me, I mean, we pivoted to Philadelphia, but I want to go back to your point about the West Coast.
Yeah.
I'm working on this documentary about the founder of Bank of America, and he was an Italian. He was a first-generation Italian-American. He founded Bank of America, and a lot of what our interviews have been leading us to understand is how different the West Coast was and is from the East Coast. Like, you could come to the West Coast as an immigrant and have a totally different experience trying to start up something and actually serve your community than in the East Coast, where there was like already Wall Street and there was already an establishment. The West Coast lacked an establishment at the time. And so I think it's interesting that the way you said that, because in some ways I think that's still kind of true. I mean,
well, certainly I didn't mean to imply that with traditional industry like banking, right? Because when Bank of America was coming on the West, Nations Bank was establishing itself on the East, right? And eventually the two banks merged together.
Mm-hmm.
All I was particularly talking about was tech. Fish like biotech and tech. I believe something happened on the U.S. West Coast. I
agree.
I go back to when it comes to law and banking and education, I go back to my Iowa City argument. I think there's good places everywhere, right? But something happened with West Coast tech, and I don't know what it is. But clearly the market capitalization seems to indicate.
Probably drugs.
No, yes, that stands out. I was just saying that I think there are parallels. But yes, tech stands out way more for sure.
Microdosing? Microdosing? I don't know.
But you look at the history of banking, and there were a few hubs. One was San Francisco, where I think the story took place that you were talking about.
Yeah. I think it was,
there was some going on in New York, Chicago, Charlotte, Boston. There's stuff everywhere with banking, and then, of course, over time, there was a lot of mergers and acquisitions, right?
Yeah,
Lots of them. So there's consolidation, and Bank of America sort of emerged out of that. But something about tech, like for instance, how did Facebook have the wherewithal to buy Instagram and WhatsApp.
Who knows?
Right? And they say to their customers, we don't care which one you're on. We just care what platform you use. Just use one or all three.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's sort of their message, right?
Yeah. That's...
You know, and he did it. I mean, I know Zuckerberg led the charge, but there was a lot of people that came together to create that marriage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about the messaging there. It's like, because that's something I've always thought about. It's like, well, where are they leading us to? I mean, what's the hub? But, you know.
And all I'll say is that I hope that America continues to show economic leadership rather than sort of pitting each other against each other just for the sake of a headline, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that we're this close where you can do graphic design editing on a major superhero film wherever you want to, right? Or before you had to have an office in the studio that produced the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Either answer's okay, you know. Either answer's okay.
Yeah. No, we got into a lot more interesting stuff than I thought we were going
Thanks
to.
for coming, Ravi. Ravi, dude, glad to have you, man.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Is there anything you want to plug before we start wrapping up, or?
I don't know. I'm going to continue to just, like I said, to me, it's a slow process. Admittingly, I wish I got into this process much earlier, because I think it's all fun when you're like that 90210 age, right? Like it's all good. Like it's all good when you're Melrose Place age, or it's all good when
you're not jaded yet, right?
Yeah, you're not jaded yet. But I couldn't have known that unless
you did what you did, right?
Right. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't. It's not like I had the idea in my head, like, I know, but I'm not going to do it. Like that didn't happen.
Right.
As soon as I figured it out, I started making my way here. I mean, I've always loved Los Angeles. Like, I've always had an infatuation with Los Angeles, but admittingly, my infatuation with Los Angeles has actually been more of these traditional businesses we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like last night, we talked about, the car industry, right? We talked about the beer industry. We talked about aerospace. Like, those have always been very big industries in play, but they have nothing to do with, well, they probably do have something to do with entertainment from a commercial branding perspective, but they don't as directly have something to do with entertainment, Like Jason's PBR is not.
It's all ad sales, right? No sponsor yet, but we love them.
Well, hopefully PBR will sponsor you.
Oh man, last week we talked about they had a 1776 pack. Did you see that, Ravi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't have the image anymore to show you, but maybe I can.
PBR is a very interesting.
Well, last year they did I think maybe it's 2 years ago. They tried to do a 99. I don't think I have the image anymore.
I'll pull it up. I got it here.
What's your choice of? We've talked about mezcal tonight. We talked about PBR. What's your deal, Joe? We didn't get anything out of you for what you like drinking.
You know what's funny that you asked that is I've been on this like big IPA kick.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this.
Look at that.
So there was like 7. There was.
Oops.
Yeah, don't play that.
I didn't mean to do that.
There's probably
my bad.
Go lower. Nope, you made it worse.
There. We got to bring this image back. Oh, they're just talking? I thought there was a picture.
There's a picture. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, look at that. Just pause it. Sorry.
I guess you can't pause without that thing in the middle, but anyway.
That's all right. Not the news. It was news. So they did it was a summertime thing, right? So they did like 99 pack for 99 beers. They did like 2 years ago. This year they did like a 1776 pack.
And you need like a truck to carry it.
70 cases of beer. I was like, Jesus.
What do you do with that unless you're like a frat
You don't. I don't.
No, it's insane.
It's absurd. But it's
so
funny.
How about you, Jeff? What do you think?
IPAs, as far as beers? IPAs. But I'm starting to feel like ashamed of my IPA consumption here.
There you go. There's the image.
That's the image. But
look,
your truck line?
No, it's just a classic.
This is just
That's
yeah.
a Chevy truck for sure, right?
It's like a
Chevy
promo
or-
shot they did.
Oh my god.
Look at how big that box is. It's so funny to me. I actually think this is a brilliant advertising, like an image they took. I think this is great.
Yeah.
It was
I love
before. It was before the 4th, so they're promoting summer beer drinking. You know.
Oh.
But yeah, I've been on an IPA kick, and IPAs are tough because you find some IPAs that are 4%, 5%, and then you have some that are like 9%, and it's like having a tough time balancing that.
Oh yeah.
as a habitual drinker, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're all trying to get better.
We're all trying to get better.
I'm like I miss my days of like I'll take a Bud, you know. That was a nice.
Just a Budweiser.
Yeah, just I'll take a Bud.
That's kind of my deal. Like I kind of find. Okay, wait. So let me tell you another crazy argument. Okay, I find Bud to be like reflective of like a price point of a place you are.
Correct.
It sounds crazy, right? But like a Bud is always accurately priced.
Yes, I agree with you.
Like if you're at your house, the Bud costs you 80 cents or whatever, right?
Yes.
If you're at Buffalo Wild Wings, it costs you XYZ.
Yes.
If you're at your local Irish bar, like the ones we talked about, it costs you another number. If you're at a little bit nicer Italian restaurant, they'll have it, but it'll be just a little bit more likely. But there always seems to be some set of people that will sell out what's ordered every night. You know, like, and then that goes all the way to major league stadiums, concert venues, right?
Oh yeah, there's sponsorship in a stadium, man. Like giant billboards.
Yeah. No, this is a very interesting. Budweiser's still a very interesting brand, and I'm glad, Joe, with your perspective, like you can understand like one is not necessarily better than the other, because there's some really Budweiser haters out there that
I know.
drink these microbrews, and then there's microbrew haters.
I don't like Bud.
There's people who hate IPAs, and I'm like, look, there's a place for many different beers. Sometimes I just want that hoppy taste, you know? It's like,
well, and Bud itself, I believe, has an IPA. Excuse me, Anheuser-Busch itself, I believe, has an IPA through the Goose Island acquisition.
right.
Do they really?
So I think like Goose Island Beers out of Chicago has a very nice IPA. But traditionally, historically, AB I don't think had an IPA unless they experimented with it. But Goose Island IPA always has had a fairly big following.
Yeah.
I think I read about that the other day because that's my go-to IPA at our unnamed location. We keep talking.
We can
about
say it. Fuck. We've said
No,
the rustic
let's not
before. I
let's
don't
just
care.
mess
Who
with it.
cares?
Yeah, that's fine. The only thing I'll say is that it's like most of those beers that they serve there on draft are actually an AB InBev product.
Right.
Like most of them are.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you look at their draft menu very carefully,
It's-
like 70% of them are actually fall into the AB InBev.
But then there's other bars like a block over that have like 30, I don't know, 80 beers.
Well,
Right.
but
How are you going through that many beers?
you've crossed over into like
It's too
you're
many.
talking about really crossing a line when you get into like Silver Lake, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you cross the Silver Lake line, like boom, now you've crossed.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah.
True.
It's amazing how people think of it, but like when you're in the Valley,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
or you're in Burbank with a lot of these blue collar guys and you know these industry jobs, there's still a lot of Budweiser and Bud Light
Yeah.
around, and it's kind of refreshing to see sometimes, you know. But again, that's what's cool about LA. I don't want to take
Oh,
away
I love it.
the Silver
No, I
Lake.
love. No.
Like you can have the lifestyle you want. I tend to pop out and kind of see what's going on because I like studying consumer behavior, you know? Like I like to see what people are doing in different parts of town. But in LA, like every little suburb's just a little different.
So
No,
different.
I'm with you on that. And it's funny to see the people, because I have some friends who make whiskey and some who do beer. It's like you see the differences in who they target and like, oh, I'm trying to get this person to pick this up and carry this. I don't know. It's funny to see how they decide to use those trends, you know?
Yeah. And again, you know, you go back to it and you say, okay, you know, the person should decide what they want, and there's no one right answer. I agree with you, Joe, and I particularly find Budweiser refreshing and kind of, priced to my liking.
Exactly.
And that's a factor.
Yeah.
It's a factor because if you go out and you like things, like it gets expensive real fast sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Yes, it does.
And if I'm going to get a shot, I'm following it with a Bud, not a Goose Island.
No. Get on the floor.
But all those brands you mentioned are very good, and I think that people, again, back to my argument earlier, I think people in America, we take for granted our consumer choice. We have very good consumer choice.
True. In fact, you see some people complaining about it. They're like,
it's ridiculous. Why complain about having more choices?
We have too many choices.
Many choices.
Well, I mean, a restaurant owner themselves, a bar owner themselves, has to decide what's moving the fastest for their profitability. Otherwise, they might go under, right?
Right.
So they have to decide what's moving the fastest for their demographic. But overall, as a consumer, we have so many choices.
There's so many.
We can freely go into
There's so many choices.
And I get overwhelmed when I buy a toothpaste, but then I'm thankful when it comes to beer. So it's.
That's right. Well, you gotta get into like, store brands and like what's available where, and macro and micro. But I don't know how we got. I don't know how we got to this. I think we were just trying to. I was trying to understand what you like drinking because I was watching Jason drink his cans of PBR.
I was drinking some PBR, man.
I also like PBR, but yeah, beer led us down this road. Beer tends to do.
2 out of 3 of us have PBR right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how often do you guys do this show?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Good.
I mean, we took some time off during pandemic, but
now we're back at it.
Back at it. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And if you guys ever want to listen to my babble in the future, I'd love to be.
Hell yeah. Come back, man. Always welcome back.
I think we will. I think it was more than babble. It was valuable. I think we got into stuff that we typically
and I love just
don't go
you have
into
a different perspective too than
exactly
our podcast have been. It's just us,
Yeah, well, I think my perspective, honestly, is I try to start in the center and see where it takes me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You were positive from the beginning, man.
Yeah, I try to be because, like, we do as if you grew up in this country at a certain rate, our economy has expanded exponentially starting in like the 70s.
Yeah.
We haven't had a draft. Mm-mm. Okay. So nobody on this call has been like, we all had to register, right? It was like the service, but nobody got drafted. And I'm not saying that I don't respect the people that got drafted, but we've had a relatively good life.
Yeah.
Computers expanded greatly during that lifetime. And, there's a lot of negativity about America, but I also think there's a lot of jealousy about the American system. And that creates negativity from other people too. And I don't want to get sucked into that. And that's also why I don't want to get sucked into this red states versus blue states or this California versus Texas. I don't want to get sucked into all that. Like if I got if they said you're the new J.R. Ewing, move to Dallas, like I told you earlier, I'm going, right?
Yeah.
As much as I love Los Angeles and what I established here, like if they say you get a 7-year gig as like the next oil man, like that's pretty good stability, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't have that negativity. I think people should make decisions based on what's going to maximize their economic and social status. And luckily in America, there's lots of different ways to do that.
Totally. Yes, I agree.
And you don't have to be negative about somebody else.
No.
Just because you're yours. Because you naturally can't be everywhere at the same time.
And there's a pie that's big enough for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and in the big macroeconomic centers, housing values are just going to keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
They will.
And there's no end. So I don't know how to solve that problem. I don't know how to solve that problem, but everyone else will have a theory on it. I just know the curve is just going to keep going up. It's not stopping. Like it's a steep curve, and it's getting steeper.
Yeah, it's going.
Unless we truly lose brand leadership, which I don't think is going to happen. Not in most.
I don't think so either. I mean, shit. On this show, we got into Hollywood, acting, economics, housing, beer. What am I missing? Food.
Yeah.
Canada, heat wave.
Dogs.
I think dogs,
Marriage.
pets,
Dogs,
marriage.
real estate.
Oh, yeah,
I consider this a great success.
It's a
You
great
asked
show.
me if I wanted to plug something. I think
Yes.
one day I would love to be on some sort of Judge Judy, like some arbitrator type show. I think I would like to do that. I think I could do that.
That's awesome.
I think I
Yeah.
could do that. I think I'd be pretty good at it. Like if I could plug myself one day, I think that would be something cool to do.
I actually like that idea. So to the audience, that's copyrighted. Nobody can take that. That's,
Yeah, so like it could be family law or it could be domestic, but it'll largely fall into the category of small claims. If you think of what happens on our show or any of these arbitrator shows,
Right.
it largely falls in the category of small claims, whether it's domestic. Or
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I use the word domestic, I use it broadly, like two roommates, two
Right.
business partners.
It's like $500,
couple,
right? Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun to just give my thoughts on it and be like, listen, if you guys had a lawyer, I'd call them up and get this solved in 2 minutes. But you guys don't have a lawyer, so now we all have to suffer through this.
yeah.
And that would be the premise of my show.
Those shows have been
kill.
successful for a long
Yeah.
time.
That's
Well,
true.
because they bring real conflict. They bring real domestic conflict. They bring in real monetary value that people can understand in 7 or 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And they bring in some humor.
Yeah.
And I think that's the formula for success, and Judy did it better than anybody. Well, I don't want to disparage anybody else, but
Judge
obviously,
Wapner.
her show
Judge
was
Wapner.
yeah, Wapner. But her
Wapner.
show was wildly successful, I think, for those
Yeah.
reasons. And interestingly, it is my belief she has a family law background in the New York State Court.
Really?
Okay.
I believe, she was a family law judge in Manhattan or somewhere else.
I
Before
believe that.
I believe it.
And people like to watch other people, take the L, and it's part of the fun.
Oh, it's the competition.
It's like you
It's the
said, when we were
competition,
kids,
man.
it was Wapner. It's
Yeah.
Judy. Oh, and then it was like, even
There
to an
was two
extent,
other guys. There was two other guys.
Springer has some of this aspect to it
Sure.
too, right? Like all these shows do.
Isn't there somebody new now who's doing? I don't know if I don't want to say it's Judy's spot, but they're doing somebody's. Who is?
They got a couple of them running right now.
Who's the newest one? Yeah.
They got a couple of them running right now. They got Tegan running one. They got one in Atlanta. They got a divorce court one. They got a few of them going right now.
Oh, man. Okay. No, there are. There's a lot. I'm just trying to think. I thought a big name had taken up this whole judge reality show thing. I know there's Joe Brown, but
Yeah.
can't remember.
So I think I would enjoy, to the extent I want to do something sort of legally oriented.
Well, yeah, because you have that knowledge.
You'd be
too,
good at that.
Right?
I hope so. You guys think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I think it'd be a great show.
You guys would watch it?
Yeah. Can we make it? Can we stream it?
Well, let's keep going down that. Well, let's see. We never know. Maybe that's the way to get something going. Maybe
Can we
that's the
shoot
way.
reenactments
Right.
with
And a
Ravi
detective.
in it, acting in it? Oh, come on.
How long do you guys
It's a
usually
good
go on
idea.
this? Is this about the right amount of time? Or how
Yeah,
long do
it's about an hour, but we had a guest, so it's longer. It's awesome.
you
Yeah.
want me to drop off so you guys can keep going? Or
Yeah, we're just gonna.
Well, I think we're
almost done. I think
wrapping
we
up
got-
in general.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just gonna wrap up, and
All right, gentlemen. Well, I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight.
you too, man.
We did too. Thanks,
Very
Robbie.
natural, and I can't believe we went so long. But I hope I hope you enjoyed it.
It's a learning experience for us too. We're just trying.
Yeah, this was a great time. I loved having a guest. Thank you, and thank you for addressing so many
Thank you
broad
for coming.
topics.
Thank you
It
for
was
coming,
awesome.
Robbie.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Cheers.
That's it. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
All right, Jason. We'll see you soon. Joe. We'll see you
soon.
I'll see you at the bar.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
sure
see you.
Joe will be there one day.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Later, man.
See you, man. That was Robbie.
Awesome.
That was great.
Come on, that's a guest for an hour, 2 hours, man.
No, that was awesome.
We hit our subjects.
Yeah.
I guess
Ravi, I'm trying to think of his last name now. Damn it. Why did I forget that? It's in the description. Check him out. You'll see him he's on a lot of different projects. There he is.
Ravi Nangia.
And I like people like that, because it's like he went from one business, like as his day job, tech and legal. Then he went into acting, and he has like all these thoughts on so many other elements.
I feel like my career's been one way for a long time.
That's how I'm like a tunnel vision guy. That's why I really do like talking to guys like him.
Yeah.
You know,
It was cool to have him.
that was great.
I guess we can end with deaths. We didn't.
Let's
begin
end with
because
deaths.
he started positive, right? So we
didn't. Yeah, it's the format. You know,
changed. The format changed.
Format changed.
Richard Donner. Joe?
Richard Donner of I have an article, but of Superman, Lethal Weapon.
We've definitely talked about Too Old for This Shit before.
Too Old for This Shit. That's true. We have.
The Goonies.
Oh, man.
He was a TV director.
Yeah.
And then became a film director, but Lethal Weapon. I mean, he did Superman. He directed Superman with Christopher Reeves, like long before there was Marvel Madness, right?
Right.
Like that was 78, 77, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he did a lot of stuff, man.
91.
91 years old. Pretty good.
That's a good life.
With that career, come on. That's crazy.
I always remembered hearing that he wanted to reboot like another version of Lethal Weapon, Goonies, but it never happened. You know, like
another Goonies would be cool, man. I mean, I don't usually do the whole celebrating reboots thing, but come on, that'd be awesome.
I think they were trying for a long time to bring it back. It was just never the right way, you know.
He pushed. Wait, is this still up? Yeah, he pushed for a revised screenplay after concluding that the original 500-page Godfather parodied the source material. So what is this saying? Did he direct that or just help revise it?
He helped. Yeah,
he just helped on it. But that's, I mean, come on, that's crazy. So, legend. He's a Hollywood legend. There's not really much else to say as far as that.
Sorry to see you go.
Oh, yeah, you know? But 91. I like to put a positive spin, and I think 91's good. Also,
he was in the very end of the Goonies.
Oh shit!
He has a small cameo at the end.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Like when they find them on the beach, that's him.
Oh man,
it's pretty funny, right?
I gotta watch Goonies again. These are the guys.
It's a classic, like 80s. We were talking about 80s movies with Ravi. I should have brought it up when he was still here.
Well, we were, just kind of speeding through some of these topics.
So many things.
Many things.
Robert Downey Sr. died today.
Robert Downey Sr. He died as well. Iron Man's dad.
Iron Man's dad.
I don't do a good impression of Iron Man, of Robert Downey Jr.
Also, 85.
85. Career. Not bad. Look, Hollywood legend. What's there to say? He's an actor.
Bathroom. I hate saying this.
He appeared in Boogie Nights and a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't. Boogie Nights.
I know what you mean.
We gotta wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. Look, it's 2 hours. We gave you a lot of content. What
we got a 2-hour show, Joe.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for next week.
Here's
episode 21.
Donate to us. I don't know if anyone's still in here, but still doing it. Thank you.
Peace.
Suckers.